If you like ghosts and anything paranormal, you'll have definitely seen one of these before. An Ouija board. And if you're also like me, you'd have spent hours watching them, and just to see if it's real, see the footage I've got, and all that really interesting stuff. I think the Ouija board, how it can, it's like a completely different method of communicating with the undead. So I was thinking, where did they actually come from? Who made them? Were they a thing of the past, or is it a modern thing? So I've done some digging, and I'll tell you about it now. So yet again, it goes back to the 1860s in America. They absolutely loved anything spiritual and ghosty, obviously, because they've done the Spirit Photographer. Go check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I've already done a video on it. And now they've put together the Ouija board. They must have had a lot of spare time. But yeah, 1860s America. And they already had something called talking boards, which were not Ouija boards, but they were talking boards. Same concept. You had your planchette, it's called, with the glass in, so you can see the letters and the numbers and yes, no, goodbye, all that. And they were basically house-made. No one really made them. There was no manufacturer, there was no company. They weren't owned by anyone. People just were knocking them up themselves. Until E.C. Reich, sorry if I'm butchering your last name, or Charles Kennard. No one knows who it is, but it's one of the two. E.C. Reich said the Ouija board he made got stolen. Charles Kennard said he knocked it up, but both their workshops from the same street, so no one knows. But anyway, Charles Kennard was the one who was making them with his partner Elijah Bond. Unreal name that, by the way, Elijah Bond. Them two were making them and they were selling them. And Elijah Bond's sister-in-law was a medium, and she held a session with the entrepreneurs and the board of the Ouija board, not called that yet, talking board. And she'd done a session, she got the board out, done it, moved it around, created the energy, asked the question, what do you want to be called? The board spelled out Ouija. Alright, a Ouija board it is. Then they said, what does Ouija mean? And the board spelled out, good luck. And then, from that day, which was April 25th, 1890, the Ouija board was made. And it first hit the stores in Pittsburgh in 1891 in a toy shop. It's a toy. A Ouija board came out as a toy. Came out as a toy. I seen somewhere, because I've been doing lots of digging, apparently it cost $1.50, which I think that's quite a lot for 1800s. I don't know, it might not be. But apparently it was $1.50 and it was in loads of toy shops. And a guy called William Fuld bought it in 1901 and really got the sales going in the toy shops and everywhere. He really promoted it. And in 1966, the Parkers brothers bought it, and that year it outsold Monopoly. The Ouija board outsold Monopoly as a game. So here's me doing me digging, right? And I'm like, alright, fair enough. It was made as a spiritual talking to the undead, advertised originally as an endless amount of fun, and it was like a family game. Family's done it, but there was always that little thing. Oh, that little thing about it being, this isn't good, this, is it? There was always that over your shoulder when they were playing, like, oh, this might not actually be fun, this is dangerous. And I've always thought, growing up, to stay well away from Ouija boards. I know my mother would kill me if I ever done a Ouija board. It's just, I've always been, there's always been that aura about them, and they don't do them. So when did that start? If it was advertised and brought out as a game? I found that out too. And it goes back to 1913 when a woman called Pearl Curran went round one of her mates' house and they had an Ouija board. Alright, yeah, family fun game, let's crack on, let's have a bash. Let's give it a go. So they sit down to do it, yeah, nice one, playing it. And a woman from Britain in the 17th century who moved to America and was killed by Native Americans reached out to Pearl. So Pearl was now talking to this woman from Britain, and she said her name was Patience Worth. Also another good name, lots of good names in this story. So she's now communicating with this Patience Worth, they're getting to know each other. Somehow, I don't know, it must be a lot of just, she might have been quick, she might have been a quick typer back in the day, I don't know, but they were communicating, and this was in 1913, and up until 1937 when Pearl sadly passed, she was talking to this ghost. Now every time I lean back, this is when I come into it and I give my opinions, and I'm reading this and it must have been a big deal because I'm reading about it now, so it must have been a huge story. But it goes even deeper. Pearl was a short poem and story writer, and she then started writing as she was patient. This brings a whole new meaning onto ghostwriter, but as Pearl was making these novels and poems and she was writing them, it was through the words of patience. I couldn't believe it. So apparently this ghost is telling Pearl what to say, what to write, and she's signing it off at the bottom as Patience Worth. So if you were to type in on Google Patience Worth, a picture comes up of Pearl Curran, because as she was writing she said, "Oh no, I'm Patience Worth." Or like the Ouija board origin story is just as weird as Ouija boards in general. They must just have that thing about them, that, like I said earlier, that aura about them where it's just weird. So that is when it came out, and apparently even this Patience Worth predicted Pearl's unexpected death on December 3rd. She died of pneumonia in 1937. Apparently this Patience even predicted that. But you don't know how much of it is true though, do you? So people believe what they want to believe, don't they? If you know it, you don't believe it because you know it. So you have to believe something you don't know, which is like me with ghosts. I'd say I've had encounters, but I've never had some physical, proper evidence for me to go, yes, definitely, I know it, I don't believe it anymore. So it's just what you believe, and I think that's most likely what's happened with this Pearl as she's been writing these stories. I feel as though I don't know, I really don't know, because she must have just sat down at night with a Ouija board communicating, and every time she's got this patience. She's never got any other one, because you can get anyone, can't you, when you do these Ouija boards. This is why they're so dangerous, because you can talk to so many different people. But obviously she's still been getting this patience. I don't know, a tricky one. I can't really figure out what, but that's the origin story of the Ouija board, and it was really interesting. I didn't expect it to go as deep as it did, but just Ouija boards just carry that eerie, creepy thing about them doing that. I've still never done one, so it could be an idea for the BB Kingle channel, because I wouldn't. You'd have to get mates who you know and you trust, don't you? And anyway, I'm just waffling on now, but yeah, I'd like to do that actually. A Ouija board. Scary though. Still scare me. Always scare me. But anyway, thank you for watching. Which side is it? This side. Click this side here if you haven't seen this video. Please subscribe, like, and I'll be posting a lot more videos like this on Mondays and Fridays. Obviously, as you know, anything else paranormally, but ghosts are always on a Monday. So thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.